and welcome to It Matters with Zara Raj Parwal. In the past few years, the conversation around mental well being has gained momentum, and never has this issue been more important than the current global crisis. So, we reached out to our viewers to ask them if they had any concerns that could be answered by a specialist, and we are eternally grateful to Mimansa Singh Tanwar for giving us her time. She's a clinical psychologist and with the Department of Mental Health and Behavioral Sciences at Fortis Healthcare. Thank you, Mimansa, for your time.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So, before we go into the questions that the viewers have sent us, I wanted to ask a question. In your opinion, what has been the most common effect of continuous lockdown that you have noticed in people?
I think we have to understand the uniqueness of the situation that is there, where there has been a sudden transition for all of us to start working from homes, and the kind of multiple roles and responsibilities that we've been trying to manage from this one space. There has been no training for something like this, and it's something which is very, very difficult to manage family, manage children, manage work, manage one's own needs and everybody else in the family. So I think it's one of the common problems that we all are experiencing, and certainly along with that, the anxiety for the given situation that we are there facing right now, because there is a threat to our physical health, and there is very obvious increase in anxiety and a worry for all of us, concerns about our health of our loved ones, health of our children. So these are some of the common concerns that we all are experiencing, each one of us, you, me, everyone is experiencing right now,
Everybody.
the ongoing time period.
When we asked for questions, we were very surprised that we got similar questions from multiple people. So a lot of people are going through very similar things. Let's go get into some of the questions that we received, and hopefully we can help them. Um, so the first question that I have is, how does one cope with the loneliness in this lockdown? What are its effects in terms of mental well-being?
Interconnectedness. We are in a time where we have digital medium to stay connected with each other. And I think in a time period like this, our ability to stay connected in our relationships, whether it is our friends, whether it is within the family, whether it is our colleagues, we need to continue to stay connected. Human connection is the most existential form of our, fundamental form of our existence. So the fact that, earlier pre-lockdown, where we may be busy on our various digital platforms that we would do in terms of whether mobile or our emails and things like that, the moment we've been told now that as you have to stay within your homes and now you're not supposed to meet each other, there has been a sudden surge of anxiety that how can we not meet people?
Yeah.
I'm not going to be meeting my friends, I'm not going to be meeting my colleagues, I won't be meeting my family members. And that has certainly raised a concern for all of us, because we now do realize how important for us, each one of us, is to actually stay connected with each other. So which is why I
That's
continue to say,
true.
I think it's important to stay connected with each one of us. That is the way of how we will be able to really deal with the feeling of isolation that we may have because of the physical distancing that we have to follow, and sometimes even the kind of thoughts that we may experience because of the worries and anxieties and the changes that we are going through. For children, young adolescent particularly, young adults particularly, it is a difficult time period, again because of lack of social connectivity. So but the fact that we have this digital space, you're sitting there, I'm sitting here, and we are talking, we can still connect. And this is the way to deal with our loneliness, that don't stay alone with
It's
your
very
thoughts.
important to reach out. I think very important to reach out because we're all in the same boat. So maybe the person you're reaching out to is also feeling lonely. The next question I have is, how does one deal with loss of job, pay cuts, opportunities in the current scenario? Oh,
Understand that it is happening because of something external. It is not you
right.
who's causing it. You need to recognize the fact that it is nothing to do with you. It is happening with multiple people across the globe. It is a very difficult situation, of course, to face in. But then again, don't put all your worries and stress in that one particular aspect. Recognize that yes, this is happening, and what is it that I can do in different other aspects of my life, whether it again, like whether it is within the families, how you continue to invest time with each other, engage with each other, how you're able to engage and maintain your routine despite not going to work now, how you're able to manage your finances together, in terms of restructuring that you may need now, thinking about in that aspect, as couples, as families coming together to support each other. Do not hesitate to ask for help. We may sometimes feel that because we feel, I don't want to burden somebody else with my
Yes.
problems. But think about it in a different way as well. If you change the position, if it was you on the other side and them on this side, how would you have responded? The same way it
Yeah.
follows for you as well. So reach out and ask for help. And like I said, also continue to invest in your own hobbies and interests that you like. So these are other elements of your life as well, that if they are going well for you, you've lost one aspect of your life, but these are others which are still in your control. So that's how we have to see it. We just have to refocus our attention from the adversity that we are experiencing to things that we can still do in a more positive and an optimistic way.
In a way, we have to force ourselves to look at the positive in our life and not let the negative take over. Well,
Absolutely.
I can
We
imagine it's
refocus.
hard because somebody who's lost his job, I can't imagine, what they're going through. But the next question is, during this lockdown, work from home has led to a lot of friction amongst family members due to close proximity. For the well being of the family's mental peace, how does one deal with it? Yeah, everybody's cooped up together. Even your loved ones can start getting into your space. That's very true, though.
And which is why we need to, one, be easy on the expectations that we may have from each other. Because when we are running our own lives, we are just coming together in one space during the evening. So a lot is running independently, and we are not really encroaching each other's space in that sense. Now that we are able to see each other, see it in a way how you're able to actually see how we all are running our lives. This is like a peekaboo in that aspect. The other
Yeah.
thing is that we need to, like I said, be less rigid in our expectations from each other. We sometimes become very rigid about small, small things. This is how I want it. This is how I've always done it. Now we are in a space where there are too many people where we need to accommodate and we need to adapt to each other's needs. So, accommodation, adaptation to how we all are running our houses right now is very important. Third thing is, do not let one person bear the burden of running the house. Come together, support each other, manage whatever household work that you like. Everybody must contribute. This is the time where we can also role model for children how to go beyond gender norms and gender roles, and it's just about togetherness. Each and every individual comes together and just support each other and deal with the situation with a lot more positivity and togetherness. So that's how we need to approach this, that we be a lot more patient, we be a lot more tolerant, and we give each other
We
the
are
space.
also respectful of each other's space.
Show
That's the
gratitude.
biggest thing.
Absolutely. Show gratitude to, things that we've been doing,
Yeah.
the simple
Show
things that
gratitude
we've
to
been
your
doing.
moms, show gratitude to your wives, to your husbands, whoever's helping out, whoever's pitching in. Next question. What are the signs to look out for of depression, anxiety, etc., when talking to a family member who's away from home?
If they are talking about feeling sad and you're experiencing dullness in their voice for a consistent amount of period, for, it's been a week, more than week, 10 days, 2 weeks, if they are avoiding having interaction with you, you're trying to engage them but they do not want to come on calls, they are not talking to you or making some kind of excuses to not get on the call, when you realize they may be awake on odd sleep awake pattern and are awake on odd hours, but this cannot be just the sole sign. I'm talking
Yeah.
about the cluster of signs that one has to look at. When they're talking about a sense of meaninglessness in about life in their conversations, when they are talking about some things which may show us that they're feeling less hopeful about things to change, these are the signs where we need to be watch out for, that that this person may be actually experiencing some early signs of depression or maybe any kind
Yeah.
of mental health related concern.
Okay. This has come from a mom. Due to the schools being closed, my son, who is a preteen, has been spending a lot of time on the phone and computer watching videos or playing games, etc. Do violent games have an effect on children mentally? And if yes, what are the effects? Also, he's very irritable when asked to stop. So, how to stop this habit without confrontation?
There has been enough evidence to suggest that yes, when there are violent games that are played, children do tend to get impacted in a way that they tend to imbibe or imitate some of those similar actions, or may uh, have similar ways of how they respond to anger. In that sense, so which is why when one cannot completely stop them because it is there, but what we need to do is have other outlets where they can also engage in other things, which gives them a sense of calmness and a sense of regulating their emotions in a lot more positive way. So helping them also channelize their energies into art and craft, into physical exercise within the homes right now, where we create and make our homes a lot more child friendly. That is very important, that you keep all your artifacts inside, and you let them run around, keep the house dirty. That's fine, that's okay. They rather do that than anything else. And at the same time provide them stimulation from different ways of also engaging them in household activities. I think that's also part of a life skill that we are inculcating in them if we are engaging in them in some of these things. And most importantly, media literacy skills at this time for children is very, very important. They are going to use media for a very long time, whether it is in social media, whether it is online classes, internet use. We need to teach them what are the safe practices to go online and use mediums, what are the more kind, compassionate way of engaging in social media, how to not get influenced by various things that media show them. So as parents we need to instill that skill, so that children are able to also discern for themselves, to be able to see what is the right way or to engage with media, how much to engage, how to filter the information, how it also impacts my choices, my behavior. That can only happen when a parent and a child, and even school system for that matter, have these conversations in a way, in a more educative way, not in a prescriptive way where you sit down and you tell your child that I want to now talk to you about today this, but in a more
Yeah.
teaching moment way, that you have
Even
something.
I think these concerns are also beyond the lockdown, and these I think these habits can be inculcated for the betterment beyond the lockdown. This I think a
Absolutely
lot of mothers are facing this in the new. My mother didn't, your mother didn't. She didn't have these concerns, but this is something parents I think are regularly facing nowadays.
true.
Next. Since after COVID, we are all working from home, my screen time on the laptop has drastically increased. It impacts health both mentally and physically. How shall I deal with the new change?
Give yourself breaks. Don't be continuously on screen. It is an exhausting medium, and that's why how you would run your routine in the pre-COVID times, where you would give yourself break, you would get from your desk out, you go to a colleague's desk and you talk to them. Do the same thing. Get off your desk, go make a call to a colleague or a friend or anyone, or maybe after in a second break, go eat something. In a third break, go to the balcony and just take a cup of coffee and just observe the nature around. Give yourself break. Create those pockets of
What you're saying is try
self-care.
as much as possible to keep the routine you had before,
Absolutely
continue it within your house, within your current situation. Keep that routine on as much as possible.
true.
That's a great idea, actually. We should really try that. Take a break, take a coffee break. It really works. Uh, this is a very young guy. I'm very apprehensive about the future for internship and placements as companies are cutting down the overall work strength, and the uncertainty occupies my mind a lot. How can I think positive?
Future is uncertain. That is true for each one of us right now, and which is why you continue to focus on things that you can do right now. So, what are the things that are there in your control is your each day, your here and now. So, in every day, things that you do, you enjoy, you have interest in, spend and invest your time in that. That will help you. What is going to happen next is something that we'll have to face when it comes. You may have this loss, you may not have this loss, but then again, our mind tends to think more about preparing ourselves for the worst. But
Yeah.
let's try and refocus it and rebuild it by focusing and telling ourselves, well, let's see what happens then, and this is what I can do now. and it may also happen, it may not also happen. So we have to look at it in a possibility kind of a way and approach situation in that sense.
I think a lot of youngsters are facing this. There's a sense of dejection even before they've actually entered the workforce. It's a very
Absolutely. I'm doing a session on positive psychology this Sunday, and I am going to be talking a
Oh,
lot
I
about
thought I'm going to attend it. I need it. My problem during the lockdown is I've started procrastinating. I want to do everything on my bed. I can't get myself. So now I've started taking a shower on time. You know, it's little things to sort of put myself in a space where I'm a little more active.
absolutely.
The next question, Mimansa, during the lockdown, we are unable to meet our friends and partners. How do you keep that bridge intact with your loved ones?
Connect through visual platforms. Form rituals that you both can do together. When you get up in the morning, maybe listen to similar kind of music. Maybe have lunches at the similar time. Stay connected on visual mediums again when you're having that. When you're going to bed, again have maybe some pre-bed ritual that you can do in terms together. So create those rituals with your partner who's staying distant, and have more conversations visually. These things will help you to be able to still feel that love and that connection that you may be missing at this point in time.
Does physical fitness have an impact on a person's peace of mind or mental fitness?
Yes, and which is why physical exercises, even in during the ongoing time period, is very important. The fact that there has been a cut down in that for each one of us, it's giving its own challenges of sleep, of not have being able to sleep at night properly. So have some sleep music if you have some sleep issues before sleeping. Instrumental music or some calming music, sleep music has evidence that it will help. And please do physical exercises. Along with that, also do some breathing exercises. It'll help you maintain your anxiety as well, manage your anxiety.
This came from a very young person. How does one differentiate between everyday stress and anxiety and a severe mental health condition that requires mental health experts and medication?
So, stress is something that we all experience. But what happens is that when we use our resources that we use on a day to day basis, talking to someone, sleeping over it, engaging in our hobbies, doing all of these things, just talking to oneself, in a day or two, one may feel better. But when it is a mental health related concern, it tends to prolong and be more persistent, which means that it's not just 2 3 days where you're able to snap out of it, but you're experiencing sadness, anxiety, you're experiencing a disinterest or lack of motivation in things that you used to do. You don't want to interact with people, you're having disturbance in your sleep awake patterns, your eating patterns, you're finding it difficult to concentrate in your work. All of these things are happening for at least week, 10 days, 2 weeks period of time, and no matter how much effort you're trying to put in, you're not able to come out of it. This is when you need to realize that now stress is overwhelming, now it is overtaking you. And one may also tend to have negative thoughts about various things around that are happening around. So we need to recognize these signs in ourselves and people around us, and then reach out for help. Mental health, because of the stigma that has been there, it has always created that barrier to seek help, and we tend to just bottle it up. We want to just manage it at our
Do
own
you see
level.
a difference in the kind of stigma that was there about a decade ago? Do you see that sort of waning off now?
Certainly, because different platforms, different media platforms, different organizations have started having mental health dialogues and conversations. There is a difference. People are building a lot of awareness, are also building a sense of acceptance. But then again, there are stigma that continues to come in different ways. In the form of myths, it continues to remain in the form of, fear, anxiety, of medication, of, who is the person who goes for therapy in that form. These things still continue to remain. So one needs to understand that when you're going to a psychologist or your psychiatrist, all of these old connotations that we used to use to define a person with mental illness should not be used anymore. Those were the times where we had lack of information, and mental health was mostly connoted with violence, with behaviors which were non
Extreme,
acceptable.
extreme mental
Absolutely.
problems. Yeah.
Absolutely. But when it comes to mental health related problems, it could be just to do with, emotional problems, relationship problems, work problems. It could be, a friend, a peer, a young student having exam related problems, which are again overtaking and overpowering their own emotional well being. And
Right.
each one of them may require some kind of an intervention. And whether it is short term, long term, again depends upon how severe the situation is and how much they need it. But then again, each one of us may require that.
What are some of the tools, Mimansa, you would be able to tell people in terms of coping mechanisms given the current times? And the most common, I think, issues that people have asked questions about that we saw was fear, stress, and anxiety, especially for younger, either whether they are working or they're studying, anxiety and extreme anxiety regarding the future. So, what are some of the things you think help when the issue is not as bad for them to require medication? What can they imbibe in their everyday life?
See, there are two parts to it. One is that right now the fear about future is more and more because we realize the uncertainty of the situation that we are experiencing. But then again, some people do tend to have this worry about future, where they continue to think more things in terms of future and want to have as many plans as possible to be able to prevent certain things happening in future. There are two ways to approach it. One is that yes, we need to have um, multiple plans in place to be able to see how we manage if the situation comes in. That's a aspect of our preparedness and prevention. But at the same time, we need to recognize the
So that's what
possibility.
the first aspect you're saying is more calculations in your life. You take decisions based on calculated risk, which is good thinking, good critical thinking. And then
Yes.
the second one,
Yes. So, I mean, even when you're doing that critical thinking, you are still looking at the elements of the present and possible future, right? So, present still continues to remain a very significant aspect, even in that decision making. Now, the other aspect is when we are thinking about the future, we need to still recognize that certain time, uncertain time, a possibility of what is going to actually go uncertain, even when we face that future, will always be there.
yeah.
So whether you are in a COVID time or you are in an outside COVID time, the uncertainty to future will always remain until the time you actually face it. So we always need to know and build our own skills on how to deal with situation in a problem solving way the moment we have the problem. And that can happen when we are able to deal with stress in a lot more calmer way, in a lot more positive way, being aware of our own emotions, being aware of the challenges, limitations, and then see things that are in my control that I can do, things that are not in my control, and what do I do now. So you have to have that problem solving approach when you face the challenge.
So I think right now what is happening is a lot of people, it's not just critical thinking, we are obsessively worrying, and we have to sort of force ourselves to step out of that zone and do something positive, focus on things we like about ourselves, remind us that we like those things. It's a continuous process.
Here,
Mimansa, I can't,
here
I'm
and
sorry,
now.
go ahead.
No, I was saying here and now. Our present is what is most important for us. And we need to just continue to focus on things that we enjoy, things that we like in the present, because our emotional and mental well being will stay a lot more positive. One, if we continue to invest in our relationships in a lot more positive way, if we continue to instill in our hobbies and interests in a lot more joyful way, and if we are able to actually live our day-to-day lives, simple things that we do, whether we are cooking, whether we are spending time with our children, whether we are spending time with our own selves, create that pockets as well. And whether it is our spouse, family members, how immersed we are, how joyful, or how well are we able to enjoy those moments. Those are the things which are going to help. So experiencing and creating that element of mindfulness, we keep talking about it, but this is the time where we need to inculcate that. We need to instill that in our day-to-day lives right now. That's important.
I think everybody who survives this lockdown is going to come out much stronger. I think we're going to have coping mechanisms we didn't even know we were capable of. Mimans, I cannot thank you enough for your time. You've been so helpful, and we had so many questions. I hope that this helps and reaches as many people as possible and helps them think positive. We can tell them that it's within their reach to do so. So I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Zara. Thank you. It was lovely interacting.
Thank you.